What's going on there, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Craftavore Tastes, and today we are digging into another collaboration beer from Industrial Arts Brewing Company out of Garnerville, New York, and DeCicco&Sons supermarkets. This is DIPA. Yeah, so DIPA is a Brut double IPA, brewed with cotton candy grapes, coming in at 8.2% ABV. Super stoked to dig into this beer. As you can see, I've already poured it into that proper glassware off camera. But just a little bit about kind of background, not only on this particular beer style, but as well as DeCicco&Sons. For the folks that are watching that may not be too familiar with them. So DeCicco&Sons actually is a small chain of grocery stores in the New York metro area that within the last, I would say, 10 to 12 years has really kind of cemented themselves as one of the best craft beer retailers in the tri-state area. And over the course of the last number of years, from time to time, they actually collaborate with some of the local breweries here in the area to produce beers. And so that essentially is exactly what DeCicco is, and I would imagine they were the contributors behind the cotton candy grapes that this Brut IPA is brewed with, or Brut double IPA. Brut IPA. So again, so a style that is super, super hot, and very kind of hyped within the last year. I can say I've had not too many amount of Brut IPAs over the course of the last number of months. But Jeff O'Neill, who is the owner of Industrial Arts, has a lot of familiarity with this particular style over his brewing career. And I have to say that some of the best examples of the particular style that I've had recently has come from Industrial Arts. Their last being their Week 52, which was their first year anniversary beer, was a Brut IPA. So I have really high hopes and expectations for DeCicco. Poured it into a glass already, so let's go ahead and dive straight into the review, shall we? Let's take a look at the appearance, get the aroma, taste it, and then of course we're going to rate it. All right, so beer pours super full-on New England haze, man. It actually says on the can, beer comes in at 8.2% ABV. I think I mentioned it, but I'm not sure. Beer says on the can, big, juicy, and juice. Yeah. So full-on kind of New England style kind of look. Medium to medium light kind of straw kind of yellow color. When I actually poured this beer out, it actually had a pretty decent little head going on. That's obviously has dissipated pretty extensively at this point. But beer looks absolutely gorgeous. So let's go ahead and get ourselves an aroma. Ooh, interesting. Oh, wow. So, big, huge blast of those traditional kind of New England style tropical fruits, right? Mangoes, papaya, pineapple. Secondary note getting a little bit of kind of apricot and kind of peaches kind of going on there as well. But there's layers of complexity to this beer, and layers of complexity that I often get from Brut IPAs. So, when you get those tropical fruits and a bit of those stone fruits coming up front, middle of the area, you kind of get a little bit of effervescence, right? And in the form of this beer, it's coming across as kind of lemon zest or lemon lime. And then kind of veiled over the entire package is a little bit of this kind of funk going on. It's not strong enough where I would consider it to be kind of barnyard funk, right? So perhaps it may not be funk that's coming from any added bugs, but I'm thinking more along the lines of funk that you might get from fermentation of those cotton candy grape skins, perhaps. Wow, there's a lot going on in the aroma of this particular beer, so I got pretty high hopes that the taste is going to be equally as complex. Super, super interesting. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a taste. Cheers. Oh, wow. Interesting. So tropical fruits, again, stone fruits in the taste on the first kind of tip of your palate. But then there's again, because it's a Brut IPA, you get a little bit of that kind of effervescence, a little bit of that champagne quality kind of middle of the palate, which is super kind of interesting. That lends itself to more notes of lemon and lime and champagne-like qualities. Grape, white grape, grape skins. And then at the tail end, again, there's a little bit of that just overhanging kind of funk going on, which is kind of super interesting. One more sip. Wow. If an 8.2% double IPA can be refreshing, that's what this beer is, which is kind of shocking. Lingering, no lingering bitterness whatsoever. Beer finish is crazy, crazy dry, as can be expected for the style. Super, super dry, incredibly aromatic, crazy complex in terms of just the overall flavors. That is a freaking really, really well done Brut IPA, which, knowing Chief O'Neill, I am not surprised. One last sip, then let's give her a rating. Wow, that's awesome. All right, rating time. DIPA, collaboration between Industrial Arts and DeCicco&Sons, a Brut double IPA brewed with cotton candy grapes coming in at 8.2% ABV. I'm going to give that beer a 4.15 caps. Let me explain myself. Fantastic, incredible beer. Super, super complex. The reason why I'm giving it a 4.15 cap is simply based on the fact that, and this is probably a little unfair, so bear with me as I struggle. As crushable and refreshing as it is, it's definitely not a beer that you are going to have multiples of. You're going to have it that one time. You're going to enjoy the complexities behind it. You're going to, if you're new to the style, be brought into something that you may not have had before that almost feels like a mashup. But it's definitely not a particular beer where you are going to have multiples in a sitting. It's not sessionable from that standpoint of, having more than one. And so based on that, that slightly kind of hurts the drinkability of it in and of itself, which is probably not fair for me to do because, I'm sure there's a tremendous amount of just straight up kind of, 9% double IPAs that probably don't kind of, fall into themselves into that drinkability category anyway. But there are elements of this beer that are absolutely incredibly fantastic, but I feel pretty comfortable with that 4.15 cap rating. All right, so that'll do it for this episode of the Craftavore Taste. I'll hope you join me again for another episode where I drink, I review, I rate, and then I repeat. Cheers.